In this video we're going to look at EDO RAM versus SDRAM. This motherboard supports both EDO RAM and SDRAM, and it's a socket 7 motherboard. We've got a Cyrix 233 MHz processor in there, running at 3.5 times 66, and it's a Gigabyte GA-686TX motherboard. It's got PCI slots and it's got ISA slots, but it doesn't have any AGP slots. And at the moment we are running memtest, and the memory, the EDO memory, is running at 64 megabytes per second. That's the speed of the memory throughput. This is the 72-pin EDO RAM here. I've got 2 sticks of 8 gig, so I've got a total of 16 gigs. And I'm going to take that out and put in the SDRAM here. And we're going to run some of the tests to see what speed we get from this. So here we are, it's running a memory test, and we are getting 90 megabytes per second for the SDRAM. So that's nearly a 50% increase in speed. This is a Cyrix running at 233 megahertz. It's, I think, a PR300 processor, but the motherboard thinks it's a PR266. The GA-686TX motherboard is a motherboard that's got an ATX power connector as well as an AT power connector, and it's got the AT keyboard connection, which we've got an adapter to PS2. It doesn't have any USB ports, but it does have 2 serial connections, printer port, floppy, 2 IDE, and if we go over to the other side, it's got dip switches for a lot of the settings there. It supports 60 MHz and 66 MHz inside bus speeds. Says it's got auto detection for voltage, but we had to manually set the voltage for this. And we also manually set the multiplier. There's a diagram under here telling you what the settings are. I've adjusted the CAS latency to 2. And we're now getting 99 megabytes per second with the SDRAM. It's PC100 RAM running at 66 megahertz, and we're getting 99 megabytes per second. I've reset the EDO memory to 60 nanoseconds rather than 70 nanoseconds, and we're now getting 77 megabytes per second throughput from the EDO memory. So we've got 2 sticks of EDO memory here, 8 meg and 8 meg, giving us 16 meg. We've got 64 megs of PC100 SDRAM here, and we are getting between 64 and 77 megabytes per second throughput with these, and we were getting between 90 and 99 megabytes per second with SDRAM. Earlier socket 7 systems still used EDO memory, and then switched over to SDRAM for faster speeds. And this motherboard that we've used supports up to 66 megahertz, but later socket 7 systems went up to 100 megahertz and 133 megahertz. This is Quake running at 640 by 480. The graphics card is a bit dodgy, hence all the sort of glitches, but let's see what sort of frame rate we're getting. Okay, we got 12.9 frames per second, and that is quicker than the speed we got with the EDO memory, which was 12.2 frames per second.